Okay, so in this video with our Thompson project, I'm going to get what we call the diagnosis of what's wrong with the gun, and it came to me in this condition with the bolt stuck. So I figured, all right, we'll disassemble it. So what I did to make it easier and everything is I took the stock off, and I'll show you that. So if you wanted to take the stock off, just 2 screws, I'll show you what it looks like. And we'll take that segment. I'm going to edit this because I'm just doing this without rehearsal. This isn't like I took the gun apart, practiced several times, and I'm just going as I go working. So I'm going to shorten this up, condense it, and we'll take a look at how I removed the stock real quick, and I'll edit that in there. Okay, we're going to start with the diagnosis, but first we'll take a look at the gun. This is a deluxe model. It's got the fancy vernier rear sights and ladder, fins, cuts compensator. Now apparently, from what I gathered or what I was told, the individual who owns this gun and sent it to me, he got it, I guess, from his dad, and he bought it and never fired it. They took the gun out and tried to fire the carbine, and then it just jammed and locked into this position here, where the bolt will not move whatsoever. So something's wedged or jammed in there. So my first thing is to disassemble this gun and take a look at the internal mechanism. So disassembly starts with depressing this here with a screwdriver, and it's hard to see, it's hard for me to show this to you. So I'm looking at this, and I guess there's 2 screws here that hold this stock to the lower receiver. I believe what I'm going to do is take these screws off, get the stock off, and that way we can get a better look at this and try to get the lower receiver. Okay, we removed the stock. Those 2 screws held it into place there, and now we can clearly see the button we have to depress. Here's the stock. 2 screws, one's longer than the other. There. And you can see it mates right in there. Alright, so now we got to this point, we're going to try to separate the upper and lower receivers. Okay, once I got the stock off, a couple screws and the pistol grip, got the gun set, and I was trying to get the lower receiver off. Now the bolt's still stuck back. So I said, let me look and go in there and see if I can see something or get an idea. I've never disassembled one of these before. I know nothing about these guns. This is the first one I've ever seen or handled. So I try to disassemble the bolt. Alright, so here's that little button, and with the stock attached you can reach underneath with a screwdriver and depress it. That's what they tell you to do. But I found that just depressing it with my hand and it started, but doesn't wish to go. See, the spring, the recoil spring is catching on some, or the fire. I take that back. I tried to disassemble the gun. I couldn't do it. So I realized that I had to do something to get the bolt forward. And after looking and trying to figure out what it could be, because now I realize I cannot get the lower half off unless that bolt's forward. It keeps getting hung up. But when I had it back and was looking inside, I was trying to see any broken parts or anything wedged. That's when I noticed the actual cause of the problem was the extractor. Okay, and what I had to do was tap the extractor down in, and the bolt came. Okay, we got the bolt back into place, moving freely again, more or less. And what I had to do is go right into that area, and with a punch, just keep tapping on the extractor until it went back far enough, and then the bolt slid up forward. Free. And then, once I got the bolt to go forward, I'll edit it, and then I was able to disassemble the gun, and I'll show you the parts and everything I had in there. And that will end this video. Okay, I'll edit this stuff and keep it as short as possible. But that was the problem. Okay, the problem was that the extractor lifted forward on the bolt, come up. You can see where it was sticking out. I try to show you that. And that wedged tightly into the receiver. It made, you know, the bolt wouldn't go forward, it wouldn't go backwards, nothing. I had to drive that with a punch. And then once it got to a point, it would snap forward, so it's kind of a difficult thing to do. But that's what happened with the diagnosis part of the video. The screwdriver says with an 1/8 inch wide blade, but basically what you would do is press down on that pin here on the back end, and if the stock was there, that's why I tell you to use a screwdriver, come in and press down at an angle. Start to slide this back. Now this is going to go back about halfway to there, and you have to take the screwdriver, and I'm going to turn it sideways. You see there's a slot here. You get it in the slot, and you got to kind of wiggle it around. Let me try this one, might be better. Until you depress it again, and then this should come off. You might have to pull the trigger. It's stuck on something else. And off comes your lower half. Okay, everything in here looks good, even though we didn't know what the hell was going on. Alright, now you have the assembly with your bolt, recoil springs, and there's the firing pin spring in there. So what you have to do is take the back plate out, and this locks this thing in. So you get in here, there's where you can pry it up. And there it all pops out. Take that back. So this comes out of the base of the bolt like that. There, this block. And this block goes in that notch here. And then this spring is your firing pin spring. Now your bolt should come back. Well, there's the firing pin itself. Okay, sorry about that. There's another piece. Basically, it looks just like a roll pin. It's called the hammer. I've seen it on the exploded view. The firing pin, I believe, stays in the bolt itself. That's pinned in there somehow and it ain't coming out, so we're not going to fool with that. But when we draw back again, you can see hopefully where that extractor is sticking up on the bolt. That was the cause of our problem. So I'm going to see if I can set that back into the bolt somehow and then try to, or maybe I'll have to just take it out. But that was what the problem was, is that extractor in there. It lifted forward and upward. So it was wedging in the groove, and that's when it's bent. looks like it's bent to shit, and be careful, I got cut already. So I'm going to see, maybe I'll just pull the damn thing out of the bolt and try to get it out. Alright, well, I'm just fooling around with this. The bolt did come back, so now I can get the cocking knob out. Get the bolt out of the receiver. And it kind of snapped back in there. But what was wrong is this extractor was pulled forward, sticking out, and wedged inside there. And yes, the firing pin is held in with this spring here. So now that the extractor's in place, and that, I'm going to examine that, but I think it should be repaired or replaced. If it moved once, it may move again and be problematic. But that's the diagnosis for it. And now it's basically taking a gun. I can see anything down there. It doesn't look like it's been fired other than once. No other damage or anything. So that's what the whole cause of the problem was. I guess he put some ammo in there and knocked the extractor loose. I have to go see if I can find parts, and that will be the next video where we talk about where we can find the parts for one of these gems. So that's it. So that was the cause, the extractor. I'm going to examine it, see if it should be replaced. And then we'll do the next video. I'll tell you where to get replacement parts and that, and we'll see about getting the gun put back together again.